Alright, hello and welcome to our second to last roster evaluation video for this off-season. Free agency is about to begin. Technically, it really already has begun. It just nothing becomes official until next week. So, anyway, we're down to the wire here. We're going to get these last two videos in, and these are going to be the easiest videos of the bunch because not really much to critique or really say in terms of analysis because the running back position and the quarterback position are, pretty set, and there's not a lot of players to really talk about. But there are some issues that we need to go over. So today we're talking about the running back position, led, of course, by MVP caliber standout this year, Dalvin Cook, who got his extension before the season started. We went through a short period of time prior to the 2020 season, where we did not know whether or not he was still going to be on this team. Because of the new contract demand, and he ended up getting that. The Vikings made some room under the cap to make sure they could do that, and thankfully, just by accident, or they had the foresight to sort of do it this way, he won't be that big of a cap hit against us for this year, only costing about $5.13 million against the cap in 2021, which is great news for somebody who is the focal point of the offense going into a season where the salary cap is going to come down significantly. I don't know what today is the end of the franchise tag day, and I was assuming we were going to know what the salary cap was going to be, but unfortunately we haven't been told those numbers yet. But Dalvin Cook at only 26 years old with 4 years experience, the main concern for me was the 2020 season where they just put an absolute workload on this guy's legs. And I think we can all agree that every time Dalvin Cook is slow to get up after a play, everybody holds their breath collectively, and we just think to ourselves, oh no, is this the moment that we've been dreading, or is this, once again going to happen? Because remember, we did lose him for, I believe it was most of his rookie season. He only played 4 games, and we were all hoping that he would return to dominance that he did in those first 4 games that he saw. Probably could have won Rookie of the Year, had he stayed healthy for that season, but history is history, and there's nothing we can really do to change that. But at the same time, everybody is just on pins and needles with Dalvin Cook's health because he is such an integral part of the offense, where I think if he were to go down, and miss a significant amount of time, I think he missed 1 game last year, we're going to be in a world of hurt because the offensive philosophy in Minnesota is run the ball first and then ask questions later. And the reason I bring that up with the concern is the amount of touches that Dalvin Cook gets. There's a lot of tread on the tires already for a guy who just signed a big extension. I believe we have him under contract for another 4 or 3 years. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a 5-year extension or a 4-year extension. But either way, we are using him up significantly in the first part of this contract, which, hopefully they can spread it out a little bit more. It always worries me with running backs because it's one of those positions that doesn't last very long in terms of players and their careers. I would be even significantly more concerned if I was a Carolina Panthers fan, seeing how much they utilize Christian McCaffrey, and then, who could have believed it that he ended up missing a lot of time this past season as well. So the running back position, as it flows through Minnesota, which it has for decades, we've been blessed with great running back play for as long as I've been alive, from all the way from Robert Smith to Adrian Peterson. And we've had other serviceable running backs who have been decent throughout the years, like Mo Williams. Michael Bennett was good there for a hot minute. Latavius Murray did pretty good during Dalvin Cook's missed time in his rookie season. Had no qualms with him. And then we sort of continue that trend with Alexander Mattison, who is the de facto backup here in Minnesota. It seems, though, like when he gets the opportunity to take the spotlight, he doesn't really run away with it. There hasn't been, that outstanding breakout performance like you probably saw from Tony Pollard, for example. I think that day probably still is coming. He's been in the league for 2 years now, so he'll be going into his 3rd. I think it's one of those things where he's a very good backup. It's one of those things where we're in a position where we have an A-plus caliber starter, a really good backup, but I don't know if they are a complementary 1-2 punch. I'm not sure I'm sold on that idea. Maybe somebody in the comments could sell me on that idea. You're up, I'm up for that challenge. But Alexander Madison, quality backup. If he had to play all 16 games and start, I don't know if that would be good. I think Madison would be able to hold his own throughout the course of a season, but I don't know. I don't think we're getting a Dalvin Cook type of performance out of Madison stretched over 16 games. I think we're maybe getting something. I don't know who to compare him to at this point. But I think we're getting something somewhere like in the vicinity of like an 800 to 1100 yard season with maybe like 5 to 7 touchdowns. That sounds like where I would put Alexander Madison with a full season of work. Maybe that's fair. Maybe that's not fair. Maybe I'm completely underestimating him. But until that actually happens, and in this case, God forbid, because if that does happen, that means Dalvin Cook is injured once again and lost for the season. I don't want that. Let's just put it that way. And then behind Alexander Madison right now, we currently have nothing under contract. Mike Boone, I'm going to put on the screen because he is a restricted free agent. So he could definitely return to the team. They have, I did read an article talking about Mike Boone and how the Vikings are interested in how he's been keeping himself in shape and doing his workouts in the offseason. And I think that there is some mutual camaraderie there that is going to want sort of force itself into keeping Mike Boone in Minnesota. So I'm kind of hoping that is the case. I've always liked Mike Boone as a running back in Minnesota. Every time I get to see him play, I'm just thinking, wow, this guy could be a real diamond in the rough, an undrafted free agent from 2018 who runs this hard. Yes, please sign me up. So if we were to keep Mike Boone, I think we would have one of the best running back situations, positional groups, however you want to describe it, in the NFL. I constantly see us getting very high marks and very high grades for the running back stable that we do currently have, which is, that's not really up for debate. Dalvin Cook is one of the best running backs in the league. Madison is a quality backup, and Mike Boone is, you could do a lot worse for running back 3. On the free agent list is Amir Abdullah. I doubt he's going to be retained. He was serviceable for, games where he had to be the backup and Madison had to be the starter. Amir Abdullah took over late in the season, or it might have been middle of the season, for, some return duties when we were struggling to find a return guy after the loss of Mike Hughes and the fact that KJ Osborne simply couldn't cut it, even though that's what he was drafted for. But at Amir Abdullah's age, I don't think he's going to retain a roster spot just because he's good at special teams. I think they'll be able to find somebody else to do that. So that would lead me to believe that we are probably going to be looking for another running back, either in day 3 of the NFL draft or maybe even a rookie free agency once again. Just somebody to come in and compete with Mike Boone for that running back 3 spot, even though the Vikings really do like him. It might be an effort and futility for whoever does happen to come in and compete with him, but I think they would need to do their due diligence in order to maintain that level of competition that we've seen from our running backs in the last number of years. So, long story short, in summary, the running back position in Minnesota is solid as long as Dalvin Cook is healthy. If Dalvin Cook is not healthy, we have major problems, at least in my opinion. Alexander Madison is a good quality backup, but over the span of 16 games, I don't know what kind of production you would get out of him from the standpoint that we, A, haven't seen it before, and B, we really don't want to see it because that means Dalvin Cook is on the shelf once again. I hope to get to a point where we are not holding our breath every time he is slow to get up from a pile after a play. And I'm also hoping that we get to a point where we get to offensive play calling, sort of figured out where we're not running on every down imaginable, like 2nd and 18, 3rd and 9, 4th and 5, 1st and 12. Not every down has to be a running down in football. It just let's figure out an offense where we're a little bit more balanced. I'm not asking for a 50-50 split, but something better than 80-20, where we're giving Dalvin Cook potentially 350 touches in a season. So that's going to do it for this video. Our last evaluation will be on the quarterback position, and I'll have a little bit more to say about that than I did in this one, even though this one went pretty long. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.